Welcome to the deep dive. It's August 1st, and yeah, for a lot of folks, that means back to school. But today, we're actually schooling ourselves on something else, the real estate market. Specifically, we're going to unpack what makes certain zip codes hot across the U.S., and then zoom right into what's happening, like right now in Atlanta.
Yeah, our goal here is to cut through, all the noise, the numbers, and really get at the dynamics. Why are some homes selling super fast and others just, well, not? We want to give you a quick but really solid grasp of the current trends. So you're not just following, you're like ahead of the game.
Exactly. We'll start big picture, looking at the national scene to see what hot even means. Then we'll dive straight into the latest Atlanta numbers from literally just this past week, get that real-time pulse, and finally boil it all down to those core things, the fundamentals that always matter when selling a home, no matter what the market's doing. You'll see the what and understand the why.
Okay, let's get into it then. This idea of a hot zip code. What does that actually mean? Like, how are they defining that? Well, it's pretty specific. Hot zip codes are areas where basically activity is way up, prices are still climbing pretty strongly, and homes are moving noticeably faster than the U.S. average. And just for scale, there's something like, what, 42,000 zip codes, give or take? We're talking the top tier here, maybe the top 5% showing this kind of heat.
Wow, top 5% out of 42,000. That's really zeroing in. So, okay, where does Atlanta fit in all this? Is our market considered hot on that national scale?
You might be surprised, actually. Atlanta has 21 zip codes in the top 1,000 hottest nationally.
Yeah,
So yeah, that definitely puts us on the map, shows there's real demand here concentrated in certain spots.
21 in the top 1,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant. Which areas are we talking about specifically? I mean, Buckhead always seems busy.
Buckhead's definitely up there, yeah.
Yeah.
It came at number 87 nationally. But it's also interesting to see places like Alpharetta coming, even Jasper showing up as really active hot zones too. Lots of buyer interest, quick sales in those areas as well.
Okay, so that sets the stage nationally and highlights our local hotspots. But let's bring it down to like this week. For you listening, what's happening right now in Atlanta, August 1st? Let's dig into those fresh numbers, new listings first.
Right. So in the last 7 days, 1,576 new listings came onto the Atlanta market. And what's notable is that's actually a little bit down compared to the weeks just before, a slight pullback.
Down slightly. Is that just the whole back to school thing making people pause, you think? Or something else going on?
I think that's a big part of it, yeah. People are definitely a bit distracted right now. School starting back up is pretty typical. The median list price for those new ones was $465,000.
Oh.
Oh, and we also saw 360 homes come back on the market, ones that maybe didn't sell before, took a break, now try again. Their median list was lower, $381,000.
Okay, 381K for the relisted ones. Interesting. Now, price changes. This feels like where the rubber meets the road, right? Are sellers adjusting?
Yeah. This is definitely where you see the market talking back. Huge number of price drops, 2014 in just the last week. Their average list price was around $409,450. Yeah. But here's the kicker. Yeah. Out of those over 2,000 homes that dropped their price, only 33 actually went under contract.
Wait, only 33 out of 2,000?
Yeah, 33. It's stark. It really tells you buyers aren't just jumping because the price went down. The home itself, the condition, the initial price point, it all still has to be right. A price cut alone isn't fixing a bigger issue. And then there are the other categories. We saw 795 listings expire. That means their listing agreement ran out, didn't sell. But maybe even more telling, the withdrawns. 441 homes were just pulled off the market entirely by the sellers.
Pulled off. Not expired, but deliberately withdrawn.
Exactly. These sellers were likely testing the waters.
Yeah.
And the median list price on those withdrawns was pretty high, $519,000. So basically, they put it out there hoping for a certain number, didn't get it, and decided to pull back rather than, say, drop the price significantly. The market essentially told them, no thanks at that point.
No, yeah, that 519K median on withdrawns, that really highlights the gap between what some sellers hope to get and what buyers are actually willing or able to pay right now. It really does sound like a bit of a standoff.
It definitely is. Sellers remembering maybe last year's prices, buyers looking at today's rates and inventory. There's a tension. So, okay, despite all that, homes are still selling. What about the ones successfully going under contract or closing?
Right. What is moving?
So active under contract, these are the very latest deals Inc. we saw 523 this past week. Like new listings, that's also a bit lower, which again kind of makes sense for this time of year. But what's interesting is their median list price, $475,000. That's actually higher than the median for the brand new listings that came on.
Higher. So the ones going under contract immediately are priced higher than the average new listing.
Seems that way for the snapshot, yeah. These were clearly the, let's call them the beauty contest winners.
Mm-hmm.
They must have hit that sweet spot of good condition, desirable location, and a price buyers saw value in, even a 475K Kyoto median. They went pending quickly. Now, if you look at all pending sales, not just the most recent ones, that number was 1,042 homes. Their median list price was a bit lower, $439,995.
Okay, so 475 KO median for the brand new pendings, but 440K KO median for all pendings overall. Why the difference there?
It generally comes down to the type of home. Those newest active under contract homes tend to be median 4 beds, 2 baths, likely a bit bigger square footage.
Yeah.
Whereas the broader group of all pending sales had a median closer to 3 beds, 2 baths. So, smaller homes, slightly lower price point overall. Makes sense.
Gotcha. That tracks. And closed sales. What actually finished the race this week?
Closed sales, we saw 140, again, mostly 4-bed, 2-bath homes. Their median list price was $469,825, and the median sales price was $458,000.
Okay, so selling pretty close to asking. What about how long they took to sell?
Median days on market was 27, just under a month, which honestly is still really low, historically speaking. And that sales price to list price ratio, 97.5%.
Ah.
So yeah, it confirms that the right homes, priced correctly and in good shape, are absolutely still moving and moving relatively quickly near their asking price. The market isn't dead, it's just discerning.
Right. Discerning is a good word for it. So, okay, we've seen the national picture, the Atlanta deep dive for this week. Boiling it all down, what's really making the difference between a sale and, well, becoming one of those withdrawn or expired stats? You mentioned something surprising earlier about comps.
That's right. And this is maybe one of the biggest takeaways for anyone thinking of buying or selling right now.
Yeah.
Our sources are indicating that just looking at recent sold comps, what the house down the street sold for last month, that's becoming. So they called it old news.
Old news. But isn't that how value is usually determined?
Traditionally, yes, but the market's shifting fast. What sold a month or two ago might have been under different conditions, maybe even slightly different buyer sentiment or interest rates. What seems to matter more right now is looking at the active competition. What's not selling? Which listings are getting price cuts and still sitting? Which ones are being withdrawn? That tells you more about today's ceiling. Because at the end of the day, it always comes back to those 3 core things: price, condition, and location. Location's fixed, right? You can't change that. But price and condition, those are your levers. Which means winning that price war in that beauty contest, making your home the most appealing option at its price point, has basically never been more critical than it is right now. And that really underscores why working with a sharp agent, someone who gets the current dynamics, not just the historical data, is so vital for strategy.
Okay, so it's less about what did that house sell for and more about what am I competing against today and how do I win? Fascinating shift. So we've covered a lot from those national hotspots all the way down to, the nitty-gritty of Atlanta's market this very week. We've seen the supply, the demand, the price sensitivity.
Exactly. And I think the main thing to remember is, yes, the market's dynamic. It's definitely moving as the numbers show. But those fundamental truths, price it right, make sure it shows well, understand your location's value, they're still the absolute key. Maybe even more so when buyers are being this careful.
So the final thought for you to take away, in a market where maybe those traditional sold comps are indeed becoming old news for tracking what's happening right now, how can you best figure out the real current value and potential of a property you're looking at or thinking of selling? What are the questions you should be asking to make sure you're making truly informed decisions in this specific market landscape? Definitely something to chew on. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.